everybody, this is Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world. Today is April 21st, Wednesday, and it has been 2 weeks since my last video. I think the last 4 or more videos, I've been hitting that every 2-week goal. So I've been doing really good with that. I have, like usual, a ton of things to show you. Things I've finished, things I've started, things I've worked on, things I've bought. always a lot that happens in just 2 weeks. So a lot to cover today. I'm sure this video will be just as long as all my other ones have been. And then at the end, of course, book talk. So if anybody's here and doesn't know how my videos usually go, it's we talk about cross stitch and then we talk about books. And sometimes I can get really chatty when I'm talking about books. And so this video or any of my videos maybe appear really long at first, but maybe if you're just here for the cross stitch, they're under an hour or right around usually. If you stay for the book talk, sometimes that can be 20 or 30 minutes added on at the end, depending on how many feelings I have about those books. I get deep feelings about books. I have a lot of feelings about it. Anyway, so if you are not interested in the book talk and you just want to stay for the stitching, the book stuff's at the very end, and I tell you when I'm done with the stitching stuff. But I do have a lot of stitching stuff to show you guys today. So the most exciting thing, in my opinion, is that I have some new designs that I am releasing basically probably tonight after I get this video edited and uploaded. And so I design under the name Hemlock and Rye Stitchery. I don't have a ton of designs, but I have a few. Basically I don't have any goals or rigid plans about what or when I design. I just kind of maybe get a random idea and I get excited and I design something and then I stitch it and then I'm like, if anyone else wants to stitch this, here it is, here you go. The only thing that I've been a little bit regimented on is the series of houses. So I started designing last year around June of 2020 with my Christmas in Nantucket trio of houses. And then I was like, well, I better do fall. And then I was like, well, I better do spring. So I got the spring trio designed and stitched and finished. And these houses are small. They're all under 70 by 70 stitches, but they're basically full coverage. So they take a minute to stitch up. Usually I can do one house a week. And so anyway, but they're cute and small, but they are a lot of stitching if I'm being honest. So I designed my spring houses. So this series is set around historical homes in historical colonial towns and settlements. So the first series I did was Christmas in Nantucket, and then I did Samhain in Salem, or Halloween in Salem, and then now I have done Spring in Williamsburg. So let me show you the 3 houses I have designed. And I don't know if I've talked about this before with this series, but I draw inspiration from actual houses in these cities, towns, settlements, whatever you want to call them. I research historical homes in Williamsburg, and then I kind of sometimes do have to make modifications to windows, shutters, house color, things like that, but they are always based on real homes or places, and some of them very, very much so. Others I take some liberties. But these are all 3 homes that I found in Williamsburg, Virginia. So the first home I have called, I'm looking at my notes. I have called Jefferson Street, which is an actual street in Williamsburg, Virginia. So I finished this as a flat fold, just like I did my first series of the Christmas in Nantucket. This is stitched on 32 count. Picture this plus in fabric in the color Serene. It's like a minty aqua color. It felt springy to me. So this is almost all DMC except for the house color is Color and Cotton Oregano. And I got this, all of the Color and Cotton flosses I used for these 3 houses, I got from Fat Quarter Shop. So you can get them directly from Color and Cotton, and you can get them from Fat Quarter Shop. And I don't know if everybody knows that, but Fat Quarter Shop is distributing Color and Cotton, and they have a huge selection of Color and Cotton floss. And when I ordered these, and it was a couple months back, they shipped within like 2 days. I got them super fast. So that's where I purchased all of these flosses. Anyway, so this is, the house color is Color and Cotton. Everything else is DMC. Got some fun tulips down there. Yeah, I don't know what else I need to say about this. Finished as a cute little flat fold, with, I just felt like this fabric, it felt like springy to me, like, just felt like spring. You don't really see that part anyway, so I like to try to put something fun on the back. But really, you know, once they're on my, like, if they're up on my shelf on display, you're just seeing this, so. So that is Jefferson Street. And then the next one is Lafayette Street. And this one is same fabric, same finishing. This is Color and Cotton, Color and Cotton Old Penny, which I really like this floss, the house color. So everything else is DMC, but the house is Color and Cotton. Oh, and I forgot to mention, if you were to go get these patterns, I do provide a DMC conversion if you don't want to get the Color and Cotton or can't get your hands on them. Or, like, really, I would recommend you just pull from Stash and try to find a nice comparable color from your stash. So this one features some lilac bushes down at the bottom. And yeah, like I said, same finishing. And then the third one, I was gonna call it a house, but actually I'm pretty sure this is a store. I mean, maybe it used to be a house, but I think in current Williamsburg, this is a store in one of like the touristy areas. But anyway, I'm calling this one Hamilton Street. None of these houses are located on the streets I'm naming, just FYI. So this one is based on a real place, and it really does have 2 doors, and I just loved it. And I've got some, I think those are hyacinths, right? I always get hyacinths and hydrangeas mixed up, but I'm pretty sure those are hyacinth. And this one, I did use 2, same finishing by the way. I did use 2 Color and Cottons on this one. For the brick, I used aged pumpkin and old brick. So I used 2 Color and Cottons on this, and then did some back stitching to actually make it look like brick. I'm really happy with how that brick turned out too. So, okay, so those are my three new spring houses. If you can't guess by now, up next will be summer. And then I'll be done with this series. And, you know, it's been a lot of fun, but I'm you know, I'm okay with being done. I've stitched enough houses in the last year. I'm good. I'm good. So anyway, these are the 3. I'm trying to hold these up so I can show you all 3 at once. Some people do stitch my houses like all in a row, which I did with my fall houses. I actually stitched them all 3 in a row on one piece of fabric. But here are the houses. Aren't they cute? Okay, so if you want to get this pattern, if you want to stitch one of these houses or all 3 of these houses, or you just want the pattern to have in your stash, I will link below where you can go get these patterns. So like I said, my patterns are under the name Hemlock and Rye Stitchery, and I offer these patterns for free. However, you can pay for them if you so desire. So with the website Gumroad, it allows you to set your price to 0, but it allows people to input their own price. And so that's why I use that platform, because you can't do that like on Etsy. You just have to set a price on Etsy. So on Gumroad, I set the price at 0, and you can put 0 buy, give them your email address, and you will be emailed the PDFs, or you can download them from the website, but you'll get it as a PDF file. But if you want to pay for the patterns, like, you are certainly welcome to do so, but you are not obligated nor expected to do so. So it will be linked below in the Dropbox if you want those patterns, or my other patterns, because I have a bunch on there. So if you want those, go to the link below. Or if for some reason that you can't find the link, or I don't know, just Google Gumroad, Hemlock and Rye, and you'll find my page. So that's what I finished. That's the only thing I finished. And I actually finished some of those houses before the last 2 weeks. I just needed to get all 3 of them stitched before I could show you. So that's been some of the like secret stitching I've been doing over the last like month and a half. But I have some previous finishes, but not a lot. And so I will briefly explain, because I'm gonna have to explain this in every video, and some of you are like, yeah, I know. What I decided to do this year, inspired by Michelle Bendy Stitchy. She said she wanted to see some of those old finishes, because, you know, you show them off on your Flosstube and then they go on a wall, or they're in storage and they only come out seasonally. And people who are just like watching you months later, or even people who watched you back when you first showed it off, like, they kind of forget about it. And you know, if you grab like an old finish, like, it's still new and exciting to a lot of people that are watching, even if you're like, oh yeah, that old thing I finished. So she's like, you know, show your old finishes. Let's see some previous finishes. And so I decided to do a 2020 review of like basically everything I finished last year, but instead of trying to sit down and film a video where I show you everything, I'm going to just show you a few things all throughout this year, where by the end of the year, you will have seen everything I finished a year ago. So in the last 2 weeks, if you flash back to April, I'm trying to look at my calendar, from April 7th through April 21st of 2020, what did I finish? Well, I finished an entire series of Mill Hill Santas. These are the Renaissance Santas. So I finished Genoa Santa. And these are just, you know, the Mill Hill kit. It comes with everything you need, except for it did not come with the ribbon or the felt. but it came with everything, you know, beads, floss, perforated paper. So I finished Genoa Santa, I finished Venice Santa, and I finished Florence Santa. And I finished these into simple ornaments. So that was a series from Mill Hill called the Renaissance Santas, and it was just the 3. Consisted of those 3. And I finished those about a year ago. And then the only other thing I finished a year ago in the last 2-week period was Little House Needleworks, The Bookshelf. And I love the way this turned out when I went to actually fully finish it. It was kind of a weird size where it didn't fit in a frame quite right. So I added this lace down here just to kind of close that, like, any weird spacing. This is stitched on, I believe, a 36 count Zweigart in platinum. And I used random, mostly Gentle Arts. They were limited edition Gentle Arts from a Stitchy box, like from way, way, way back. Although I think you can still get some of these on Stitchy box, but I got these like 3 years ago. And maybe like some classic color works were thrown in there. So the original pattern just calls for DMC. So I just pulled the DMC colors and then pulled fancy floss that was close. I think I did change something. What did I change? I changed, this was Laura Ingalls Wilder, I think. And I just left the R off and made it Oscar Wilde. Because I wanted to. I think everything else is the way it was charted, I think. Yeah, I actually really like this a lot. And this sits above my bookshelf. I have a shelf that runs above my bookshelves, and this is up there. So those were all my finishes. So now I will show you some of my works in progress. So I've only got a little bit more done on this one, I think, from last time I showed it. This is Coffee Obsessed by Leela's Studio. I did, I think, point out in my last video that myself and just about everybody else I've heard has referred to this designer as Lila's Studio. But Abby from Abby Bella Stitch actually reached out and asked her, how do you say your name? And found out that it is Leela. So this is Coffee Obsessed from Leela's Studio. I am stitching this on fabric, 40 count fabric that I dyed myself. And I'm using a few of the called for colors and then a few substitutions, but essentially like in the same tone and shade. Like I'm not trying to make any big changes. It's just if I didn't have the specific color, I just grabbed something that looked close in my stash. So I didn't get a whole lot more done. I think from last time I showed it, I probably just mostly did the words and these coffee beans. I only got to work on this like 2 days, I think. This is my lunchtime stitching at work, so the progress is slow going with that. And then I had a new start, and I am so excited about this. So excited. So this pattern, this is Meridian Cross Stitch Designs, or Meridian Designs. And this is Kristen the Arctic Ocean Mermaid. This was a Needlework Expo release that I was really, really excited about because she is a mermaid with, how should we say? You know, she's got a little more to her than some of the mermaids we're used to seeing. And she's a mermaid of color. And I just love her so much. I love her so much, and I could not wait to start her. I literally like started her the second I could. She is on a 28 count color and cotton fabric in the color Periwinkle, and I bought that from Abby at Top Knot Stitcher, and I'm just like obsessed. I'm obsessed with this. Obsessed. I'm using all the called for floss, which is just DMC so far, but there are some dinky dyes in there that I haven't really got to, well, I got to put a couple stitches in of a dinky dye, but mostly this is DMC. This darker color right here is a dinky dye. So I started in the middle and I'm just working my way through. I love her. I think this is so pretty. It's hard to stitch. It's not hard to stitch. I shouldn't say that. How do I want to say it? It's a lot of confetti. A lot of confetti. Like there's so many colors here in this fin. A lot of confetti, but it's not actually hard. I was surprised actually that it's not that bad to stitch. It's actually really pleasant to stitch. I had a lot of fun stitching it, but it is a lot of confetti. This is a needle minder from It's Charm School, which like matches perfectly. And then this is an Ort catcher from It's Charm School. I talked about that in my last video. Highly recommend. Oh, and this is a grime guard that Lolly made me from Lollipop Stitches. And I am, a couple of people, when I showed this pattern and said I was so excited about it, a few of you said, me too, I really want to stitch that. It's going to be great. Like, should we do a stitch along, a sal? So I'm definitely, I haven't posted progress on Instagram yet, I don't think. I will post a picture with the hashtag, which is Mermaids Are Real Sal, S-A-L. But I'm stitching this with Shelby from Stitches by Shelby, and there's a few other people, and I'm drawing a blank right now. There's a few people that are hopping on, and there's a few people who are just waiting on some supplies before they get in on this. But that's the hashtag I'll be using. Mermaids Are Real Sal. And there's one last thing I wanted to tell you about this pattern. If you do buy this pattern, there was an issue with the legend, with like the chart key. So, you know, the actual like key with the symbols, all of the DMC, like all the floss, everything that the chart calls for is correct, but something happened with the actual symbols where, I don't know what happened, but the symbols were not all correct. Like half of them were correct and half of them weren't. And so I started stitching and I'm like going along, and then I hit a symbol on the chart and I go to the key and I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking and I look again and again and again, and I'm like, I can't find this symbol. Like it's not, I can't find it. So I emailed the designer, Karen, and she responded like immediately, and she was like, oh no, like that's the wrong key. Oh gosh, like, and she immediately sent me a correction, and then she posted a correction on her website. So if you have this chart, you need to go to her website and just print the one page with the new, you know, it's got a new key with the correct symbols. The chart itself is fine. The chart is accurate. You just need the key that has the updated symbols on it. But if you've already like, you know, pulled all your floss and got all your DMC and stuff, all of that's correct. Like nothing's wrong. But you need the symbols, and you'll know, I mean, as soon as you start stitching, you will realize, this is, oh, okay, like this symbol's not here. And then you'll know, but you need to go get the key. So I'm just trying to help spread the word. I know that, I bought this chart from Abby, Top Knot Stitcher, and she sent an email out to everybody who purchased this chart and said, you know, there's been a correction and here it is. but I don't know if like other shops did that. So if you bought this chart from somewhere else, you may not have known that that happened. So, okay, so I've been currently working on my Modern Folk Embroidery Fruits of Plenty 2021 Stitch Along. So I have been keeping up on this. I've been determined to keep up on this because it's so much stitching every month that I just don't want to get super behind. So I'm currently working on April. This is on a 40 count Fortnite Fabrics in Caravan Tan, and I'm stitching this with 2 colors of Valdani Silk floss. And I am down here in April. So the top was January, February, March, and now I'm in April. And all I have left to do on April is this fill-in right here, which is going to be, it's this, this style. I always forget what it's called. Azizi, maybe? But it's where you have like the negative space, making its own design. So as you can tell, it's a lot of stitching because it is, you know, I mean, it's a lot of stitching, but I am optimistic. It won't take me that long. And I will be all caught up for May. May, I think, is going to be a nice little breather. I don't think it's going to be as much stitching as some of the other sections. I'm absolutely loving this project still. I just love it. It looks amazing, of course, because the designer, Jacob DeGraff, Modern Folk Embroidery, is so talented. It looks great, but literally, like, I love stitching this, and I don't even know why, really, but like, I just love it. Like, every single stitch is like so pleasant. I love it. I really love my fabric. It's 40 count linen from Fortnite. It's just nice. It's a really nice fabric. And I love my 2 silks. Like, I love the colors and I love stitching with silk. And I just really, 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 really enjoy stitching on this. I'm just having a good time with this. It's not a chore. Like, it's a lot of stitches each month and it takes several days, of course, but it's not tedious and I'm not like, oh, I gotta go work on that. Like, I enjoy it. I like it. Okay, and then the last work in progress that I have was another new start. So I had 2 new starts because I had Kristen, the Arctic Mermaid, and then I started this. So on Sunday, I think it was on Sunday, maybe it was on Saturday. Anyway, the Witchy Stitcher showed on her Instagram that she had a new pattern coming out. And I was like, I need that pattern. So this is Guardian of the Woods Leshy. And it's super duper creepy. And I really love it. I've been really into like Russian Slavic folklore. It's a whole thing. My friend Andrea, Stitchy Bookworm on, I said that really funny, sorry, Andrea, Stitchy Bookworm on Instagram and on Flosstube, even though she doesn't really film anymore. Her and I, like some of the buddy reads we've done, have delved into like Slavic folklore, and we're both really into it, and we're both like, yeah, we need to read a book that's like just about Russian mythology. But what really like got us going on it was the series by Catherine Arden. The first book is called The Bear and the Nightingale. I think the whole it's a trilogy. I think it's called the Winter Night Trilogy. Anyway, book talks at the end, and I'm not necessarily talking about that series, but if you're interested in Russian folklore, like that series is so good. It is excellent. So anyway, the Leshy is he's like a protective spirit / god of the forest. So his domain is the forest, and he's He's in charge. He's not like, okay, this is like makes him look super scary and creepy. He's not, I mean, I guess he could be, but like generally he's a pretty neutral spirit. He's not like bad, evil, like he'll mess you up, but like in some stories he's benevolent. In a lot of stories he's just there, and he's like, if you don't like mess with me and my forest, I'll leave you alone. You leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. And then in other like tales, he can be like a little tricky. So this is like a scary Leshy. I really just like the design so much though. So the Witchy Stitcher actually has a series of these. There is a Baba Yaga and there is a Kikamora. So I own those patterns but haven't started them. This was the one that was calling, so I bought it and I started it. And here it is. This is DMC. This is a 32 count X-Jute design fabric in the color Elixir. I got it from Garon Stitchery. And I thought the needle minder kind of fit the vibe. It's an old needle minder I got like ages ago. I'm pretty sure I got that from Jen at Delicious Threads. So anyway, yeah, this is how far I got in like 2 days. I think I just stitched on this for 2 days. Yeah. It's stitching up pretty fast. Now this, so I was talking about like how Kristen, the Arctic Mermaid, has a lot of confetti, but she's really fun to stitch. This has a lot of confetti that's not super fun for me. Like this one is kind of like, I mean, I like the result and I'm gonna power through because I love it. I love the design. I love the way it looks, but like it's kind of a pain. It's kind of a pain to stitch, if I'm being honest. But you know, I will persevere. Once I get this part done, the confetti really chills out. Like this is all 310, like just 310 all up in there. So I'm in the confetti section and it's a little annoying, not gonna lie. But it gives a good effect. It really does. Okay. So that was all that I stitched. That's all the stuff I stitched. I have some really good haul though. I don't think I went too like overboard with the haul, but I just got some good stuff. So while I was picking up that Leshy pattern from the Witchy Stitcher, I went ahead and grabbed another Ouija board. So the Witchy Stitcher has, I believe, 3, possibly 4, but I think she only has, I think it's 3 Ouija boards. And I have stitched one already, and it's just like a really traditional style. And then she has like one that says Happy Halloween. Like she has a few different ones. And I'm going to stitch them all eventually. So after my last Flosstube, where we had a wonderful discussion about lap dancing for Satan, I had to get this Witchy Stitcher Ouija board, which I always intended to buy and stitch, but it was like the time. The time is now. So this Ouija board says, "Hail Satan, hail yourself." That is a Sabrina, The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix. That is a callback to that show. So yeah. So I don't know when I'm going to start that, but I needed that. So I got that. Oh, and then lap dance for Satan, right? So my friend Dawn Marie said, can I have your address? I want to send you something. It made me think of you. So she sent me this project bag, and it's really big. This is a big project bag. But she sent it to me because she said the fabric, when I showed that lap dance for Satan, like she knew this needed to be mine. This project bag is humongous, so I'm very excited about all I can fit in here. And she does this really cool thing where, I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it, but her project bags have like an inner pocket. So you can put stuff in there and keep it like divided, which I think could come in handy. So thank you, Dawn Marie. Dawn Marie actually has a Flosstube. I will link it below. I think it's called Dawn Marie's Crafty Vortex, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm going to link it below though. Dawn Marie is awesome. So if you're not watching her, you should go and watch her. And she has the most fun accent. And it just, every time I watch her, I just kind of giggle because I love her accent. Because she's from Maine. So if you've heard the Maine accent, it can get real strong. So she has a very cute accent. I wish I had I don't know. Do you guys think I have an accent? I don't think I do. I wish I had a fun accent. I don't think I do. Okay, so what else did I buy? Oh, Heaven and Earth Designs was having a sale, which, you know, they do all the time. But I had told myself, like, the next time they have a sale, I'm going to get this mini meeting on the turret stairs. I showed you guys before that I bought a needle minder of this painting. This is a black and white printout. It's terrible. But anyway, I went and spent the $6 on this chart. I don't know when I'm going to start it or if I'm going to start it, but they had a 50% off sale. So that was in my basket for like next time something's on sale, I'm going to get that. And then I just I went and bought it and left because I don't want to own lots of Hades because I know I won't ever finish them. So right now I own 3 of them. That was my third. I have one started. I have one that I purchased and haven't started, and now I have purchased that. And the likelihood of me ever finishing all 3 of those is so outrageous. So a couple of people were like, oh, have you seen this one? Have you seen this one? Ooh, I saw this one and I thought of you. And I'm like, I don't even want to look. I don't even want to look because no, I can't do it. It's too much. It's too much. So, I just got the one and I got out of there. What else did I buy? Okay. So my girl, Allison, it's Charm School. Every Friday she posts new needle minders. And I don't know if I already said, I'll link her shop, her Etsy shop down below. Every Friday she posts new needle minders, and she doesn't get me every Friday, but just about like every other Friday, I'm like, I need it. I need it. She's just so talented. She makes these really amazing, like the attention to detail on these needle minders is out of this world. So they're all handmade. And if you follow her on Instagram, she actually will post videos where she shows her whole process of like making molds and setting like I don't know what it is. Is it resin or acrylic or, you know, whatever she's using to construct these, sanding them, polishing them, and then like hand painting them. And there's just so much detail in these needle minders. But this one is extravagantly detailed. I don't know if my camera is even going to focus enough for you guys to see this. So first of all, it's this teeny little ship. I mean, it's like, this is little for even like for a needle minder. It's plenty to hold your needle, but it's small. And then I hope this will come into focus, and I understand that you all might just be looking at a really blurry nothing right now. But hopefully it will focus for you. But she hand paints. And there's so much detail on this thing. and it's just gorgeous. So I needed that, like, for sure. And then because I buy from her so much and she's my friend and she likes me, she sent me this needle minder just because. And she said, it was you. And she's right. Bookworm. So, and look how, like, so this is like more of a normal size needle minder. Just for comparison, like, look how little this little ship in a bottle is. It's so tiny. She always packages everything like so beautiful and so fun. And then she always sends like a pack of like mostly stickers, but just like stickers and embellishments, like paper embellishments. And it's so fun to like open up that pack of stickers and see what random goodies you got in there. And this time I got a Mean Girls sticker. This says, "Boo you whore." Side note. And I hope nobody's like too upset about, you know, me using that word or whatever. Side note. I have been binge watching Outlander, like, again, like I've already watched it. I'm just rewatching it. And so I literally just finished season 1 of my rewatch, and they call Claire a whore like every episode multiple times. But the way they say it with their Scots accent is so funny, and it just cracks me up because they call her, they say it like whore. So they're like, "You English whore," and it just makes me laugh, and I want to just call people that now. So it's like, "Boo you whore." Anyway, I mean, if anybody's offended by that, like, you probably already like left my channel a long time ago. Allison did, when I told her I was so excited that I got this sticker, she's like, "Oh, that was not supposed to go out." I guess she tries to like pull out any like questionable stickers so that she's not just sending random people stickers that say they're whores. But I thought it was amazing, and it's like one of my favorite stickers I've ever gotten. And she's like, "Well, I'm really glad it went to you." I thought that was funny. But she does send good stickers. A nice assortment. Okay, so the last thing that I have for haul, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was looking at my notes. Okay, the last thing. So I ordered some kits from Forest Embroidery. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've been eyeballing like kits from Forest Embroidery for forever, and I just never like pull the trigger and order them. Partly because like I truly had no idea what they cost. Because when you go to their website, they do have an English version of the website, but the currency is, I don't even know what it is. I really don't. Rubles, maybe? I don't know. So, like, I don't know what anything costs, literally. Like, I look at the website and I'm like, is that $10? Is that $40? Like, what is that? So, I just haven't, like, pulled the trigger. I have bought PDFs from them several times, but I'd never, like, just went ahead and, like, ordered, like, actual, like, physical items from them. And then, you know, a couple people were like, "Oh, no, like, they're great. It's super easy. Like, my stuff got here in, like, 3 weeks. Like, just go for it." So, I was like, yeah, okay, like, I think eventually I'll order something. Well, so I placed this order back in March, and so I had just lost Lincoln. It was, like, maybe 4 or 5 days after, and I was just kind of feeling like I deserved some retail therapy. And I told you guys how I've been really into like Slavic Russian folklore, and Forest Embroidery is a company in Russia, and they have a lot of patterns around that subject. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go treat myself and I'm going to place an order. And let me tell you, it is really fun shopping on Forest Embroidery's website for me, because like I said, I don't know what anything costs. And so I can't like look at something and be like, I don't know, is it worth it? So I just like throw stuff in my cart. And so I got 3 kits from them. So I threw these 3 kits in my cart. And they were just ones that I've been wanting. So I got Baba Yaga. No, wait, this one's Kikimora. So I got Kikimora. This is Baba Yaga. And I got the Leshy. Now, that Leshy is much more benevolent looking than the Witchy Stitcher Leshy. Right? Like, these are both the Leshy. This one, just a nice little dude covered in leaves. This one will eat your soul. Anyway, so I decided I was going to get these 3 kits. And like I said, no idea. I had no idea what they cost. I put them in my cart. I had no clue. I know there's like Google currency converter. Like I wasn't messing with all that. So I literally was like, let's just see what happens. So I went to checkout and I still like could not tell what anything was going to cost. And it wasn't until I was in PayPal and like, but I was like deep into PayPal. Like I was logged in. I had picked my account. It was still showing foreign currency. And I was still like, I don't know. And then I like hit buy and then it finally like flipped to US dollars and you know, like, are you sure? Hit continue. So it's really fun to shop that way. Like for me, I don't know. Like I don't have time to feel weird about it. I don't have time to like edit my cart and be like, oh, that's too expensive. Let me take some stuff out. So like by the time I got an actual price, like I was committed. I was in. Also, like I said, I wanted to treat myself. So like it didn't really matter, but just so you guys know, like for an idea of pricing, all 3 of these kits, which include floss fabric and a needle minder, all 3 of these kits shipped were $94 US dollars. So about $30 each, but that's shipped. So maybe they're $25 without shipping. I think that's incredibly reasonable for what comes in these kits. Let me show you. So when you open the box, you know, it's packaged really, really beautifully. You have your beautiful floss that they dye themselves. This is hand-dyed floss. You get a needle minder and a beautiful, like, fold-out instruction booklet. You get your fabric, which I think they do dye fabric, but for these, I think this is just Zweigart, like, Zweigart. I don't think this is over dyed. I think this is just how it is. And then your pattern, of course. So you get, you know, they're packaged really nicely. These flosses are just absolutely delicious. They are delicious. So let me show you Baba Yaga. I had already like really opened up and played with. So these are the Baba Yaga flosses that aren't so pretty now because I messed them up, but they're so nice. They feel nice. So they're DMC base that they over dye, but they feel good. Like they don't feel rough or scratchy. Like they feel like a very nice quality, and they're just really, oh sorry, I was kind of out of frame there. They're really pretty. Like they're nicely variegated where, you know, you don't feel like you're just might as well have been stitching with DMC. So now you can buy their patterns as PDFs and not even like get the kits, but if you can, I would say get the kits because these flosses are absolutely incredible. They're so beautiful. So I am so excited to start one of these kits like as soon as possible. I think I'm gonna hold off until this weekend. I'm gonna try to get modern folk embroidery caught up, and then I think I'm gonna reward myself with a Baba Yaga start this weekend. So yeah, highly recommend. It took just shy of 4 weeks for my order to arrive, so that's not shocking to me. Somebody had told me they got theirs in about 3 weeks. So, you know, I think I wasn't quite at 4 weeks. I think it was like 3.5 weeks, and then I got it, and I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly reasonable, especially for how reasonable the shipping cost was. So that was my Owl Forest order, and then before it even arrived, I made another order, and it shipped yesterday or the day before. So hopefully that'll be coming in the next 3 weeks or so. So Owl Forest Embroidery very frequently hosts stitch-alongs, and they're free. And these are like big patterns that they offer. They are not little bitties. Like they just did the 100 Owls stitch-along, which is like a big, huge project. They did the Wizard of Oz stitch-along last year. And so they just announced last week on Instagram that they are doing an Alice in Wonderland themed stitch-along. I believe the first clue is coming out like tomorrow or Friday. So it's like you don't really know what it's going to look like, but there's like a blurry image so you can kind of see like the layout. It's going to be a square pattern. It looks similar to how the Wizard of Oz one looked last year. But anyway, they made a floss pack for it, and I was like, I hadn't even gotten my order yet to know how great it was, but I was like, I'm in, fine, just let me place another order, because there were more things I wanted that I hadn't gotten in my first order. So I got the Alice floss pack, and then I got a few other things, like a few kits and things. So when those get here, I will show you. But again, it was that super fun shopping experience of I put all this stuff in my cart and I didn't know what any of it was gonna cost. I still don't really know what any of it cost. I know that the total for like all the things I got was a certain number, but I don't know like how that breaks down. Don't know. Don't care. So yeah, that was my Owl Forest Embroidery experience, and it was very good. It was a very good experience, and I highly recommend. That is all of the stitching. I think I just clocked in under an hour. Go me. I have just a little bit of book talk. I have only read 3 books. Only read 3 books in the last 2 weeks. But that is only... That's just, sometimes the timing's a little weird. Like I am about to finish a book. I have like 100 pages left in a young adult book that I'm reading, and I just couldn't get it finished before the video. I'll probably finish it tonight. And then I'll talk about it in my next video. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. I'm just saying. Usually I finish 4 books for each 2-week video. Anyway, what did I read? What did I read? I read A Shadow Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. And this is a trilogy. This is a young adult fantasy. It is set in Victorian England, but there's magic. But it's in our world, like it's literally Victorian England. Like I'm not just making that up. Like Queen Victoria is on the throne and she has a little cameo in this book. But anyway, it's a little steampunky Victorian England, except for that they can do magic. It was actually a super cool premise. So You start off in kind of like this like Jane Eyre vibe, like you're in this boarding school, like way out in the country, and there's like a mean headmaster, and the main character, Henrietta, is has come up, been raised in the school as an orphan, and has graduated, and she is now teaching at the school. So she's a teacher at this boarding school, and you kind of get dumped right in like the world and the magic. It doesn't get like explained to you. You kind of just like have to figure it out as you go. But essentially what's happened is people who have magic are in different like classes. So there are sorcerers who are all men, and they are allowed to do magic and revered. And then there are magicians who are looked down upon. They're considered like con men and tricksters, and they can't really they can't practice magic openly, but there's like an underground like magician network. And then there are witches who are burned and killed on sight and are definitely like not allowed to be. And then there the reason being is because I feel like this is like so hard to explain, and it's been about 2 weeks since I read this. But anyway, at some point, a witch unleashed like some gods of hell onto Earth or onto London. And so these like all-powerful, malevolent gods are tormenting and killing their way around the English like countryside and London. And so it was a witch who caused that like rip in the worlds between the realms or whatever. And so witches are bad. Witches are super bad, and we want to kill them or whatever. And sorcerers are revered and prized because they are the only people who can really like fight back against these gods. But they haven't figured out how to actually like fully vanquish them. But they at least can like drive them off and like create a temporary peace. But these gods are terrorizing the people. So we meet Henrietta, who has hidden her powers because she is apparently a witch, and she knows if anyone ever finds out, she will be killed. So she is at this boarding school, like on the DL, and then this sorcerer comes because he's heard some rumors of some weird happenings. He sniffs her out, he ferrets her out, and turns out, and sorry, this is a little bit spoilery, but this all happens in like the first like 20 pages. And I think it's actually probably on the back of the book, like I'm pretty sure it is. So it's not really a spoiler. Anyway, turns out Henrietta is not a witch. She is a sorcerer. She is the first female sorcerer that they have seen in a long time. I don't think it's like totally unprecedented, but it's incredibly rare. So Henrietta gets to go to London and train with the sorcerers. And that is what this book is primarily about. There's more to it than that. There's a chosen one prophecy. There's a whole bunch of stuff. But it was actually a super interesting premise. The magic system, the world building was really good. I actually did like this book a lot. What I did not care for with this book is that everything felt a little rushed and a little bit like too streamlined. It really felt to me. I've never read any other books by this author, so I have no idea if this is just how she writes. It really felt to me like the book was longer, and like an editor came in and was like, get rid of 30% of this book. You know, like it felt like somebody just like slashed and edited it to like an inch of its life. And so there was just no like fleshing out. Like there was no natural, organic like development of the characters or the situations. Everything was just very like quick and concise, and it did hurt, like, the book for me, because there were times where you're just like, oh, cool, you guys are just best friends now. All right. Like, because we didn't get to have, like, an organic development of that relationship. So it's just like a little weird, but, like, I didn't hate it because what they were doing was cool and the premise was interesting and I wanted to see what happened next and I wanted to know more. I just, like, I feel like it was just edited down, and maybe that is actually what happened because, you know, this ends up being like a really pretty short book. I think, no, I'm a liar. It's 400 pages. God. I don't remember it being that long. So maybe I'm right. Maybe it was edited down because maybe this was like a 500-page book and they were like, that will never sell in young adult fantasy. That is too long. So anyway, it felt like it was just edited to where it lost like some charm and some soul, right? So those are my thoughts. And actually I saw another booktuber talk about this series and she said like kind of the exact same thing. So I know I'm not alone in this. Like she was answering a question. It was like, what book or series would you like to see like written by a different author? And she said she wanted this series, but written by Leigh Bardugo. And basically, because she was like, I just needed more. I needed more. So I'm like, I could totally see that. So anyway, I'm going to continue. I'm going to read the second book and then I'm sure I'll read the third because I do want to see like what happens. But it ended up, I think I rated it like a 3 out of 5 stars. Like, it was good. It had potential to be really great. It just did not get there for me. So, that was that. So, speaking of Leigh Bardugo, my queen, I completed my reread of King of Scars. This is not King of Scars. This is Rule of Wolves, which is the next book after King of Scars, which I just purchased and haven't read yet. It just came out. My reread was King of Scars, which is this book right here. Okay, so Leigh Bardugo, I've talked about her a lot on my channel before. She wrote the Grishaverse series. The first was the trilogy Shadow and Bone. So you had these 3 books here. What? I can't see what I'm doing. These 3 books from Shadow and Bone trilogy. And then the Six of Crows duology right here. And then after that came King of Scars and then Rule of Wolves. So what is all this about? It's like way too much to like go into, and I've talked about it before. The Shadow and Bone trilogy is being made into a Netflix show. It comes out on Friday. So I've been rereading the books in preparation for the show. The first season of this show is just going to really cover the first book of Shadow and Bone. And then for her next series, the Six of Crows duology, we are going, which that series starts after the Shadow and Bones trilogy. So the way the show is going to meld the two is that we're going to get the Shadow and Bone trilogy like as we read it, but then we're going to find out what the people in Six of Crows were up to during the Shadow and Bone years. So basically we're getting like a prequel to coincide with the Shadow and Bone series. So I'm so excited. That comes out on Friday and I cannot wait to binge watch that. But anyway, it's hard to talk about the next series, the King of Scars and Rule of Wolves, which I believe was marketed as a duology. So I'm hoping like we get a nice conclusion in this book and we're not like left on a cliffhanger or something. But this is another sequel. This series features a character that we met in the Shadow and Bone trilogy and a character that we met in the duology, and what the two of them are up to after those series have completed. So really impossible to talk to you about this without some major spoilers. for the Shadow and Bone trilogy. So, if you don't want to be spoiled for any of that, and I am going to be very vague, and some of you may not consider this a spoiler whatsoever, but it kind of is. So if you haven't read those yet, you probably should just stop listening to me or fast forward a little bit. But after the Shadow and Bone series has concluded, one of the characters, Nikolai, is the king. And so this series is about what Nikolai is up to in post-war Ravka. And turns out some crazy stuff is going on that, like, after you read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, you're like, cool, nice, happy ending, yay, they lived happily ever after, but actually, no, they didn't. Nikolai is dealing with some stuff. So, King of Scars, it was a reread for me, but it was basically about, like, what comes next for him, and he's got a pretty big problem that he needs to deal with. You do learn what that is right away, very early, like right at the beginning of the book. In the meantime, there's another character, Nina, from the Six of Crows duology, and we are following her. So these stories do not intersect. So we go like Nikolai, Nina, and we kind of go back and forth as Nina is on her own little journey, doing her own thing. So she is a spy for Nikolai. So she's in another country doing some spy stuff. And then Nikolai's in Ravka trying to deal with his own stuff. So it's a little disjointed because those stories don't actually like connect at all. So you're really reading two books, basically, when you're reading King of Scars. I liked both of those characters so much that I didn't mind because I wanted to know what those two were up to. It starts off really, really slow, and I did remember this when I read it originally. It took me a long time to read. It was just, it wasn't that I didn't like it. It's just slow. It starts off really slow. Leigh Bardugo is such a beautiful writer that that's not the problem. Like, the writing is fantastic, but the pacing was rough. And I know that other people felt that way too. Like, when King of Scars came out, like, there were some people who I think it came out in 2019. There were some people who were like, yeah, this for me, was a disappointment. The Six of Crows duology moves so fast. The pacing is like insanity. Like, you're just like edge of your seat. It's such a wild ride. So many things are happening, and like plots within plots within plots, and it's such a fun series, and you can read it so quickly. And so this was like a pretty drastic change of pace to go to like a much slower, more meandering kind of story. Again, it was written beautifully, but really just not a lot is happening at first. And so it's really about the 50% mark that it finally starts to get really exciting and like things start to really happen. But for me, this is definitely like the weakest Leigh Bardugo book for me. I gave it 4 stars instead of 5. Like, all her other books I've given 5 stars. I had to give that one 4. However, the last, I'd say the last 10% of the book is so bananas and so great that it almost redeems the whole thing and makes it a 5-star, but it's just not, it didn't quite get there for me. It ends on one of the most like bananas cliffhangers I have ever seen. And the last line of the book almost makes it a 5-star read for me. Like, just that last line is like, oh no! So I'm very excited to read Rule of Wolves and see what happens next. Highly recommend this series. Always. And by this series, I mean the Grishaverse series. Like, all of it. Start with Shadow and Bone. It's all great. The last thing I read was a little bit of a change of pace for me, but something I was really excited to check out. So I read a romance novel, but it's a gay romance novel. And this was something I think, this was a genre I had not explored before until I read Red, White, and Royal Blue, but that was a contemporary romance. This is a historical romance. So this is It Takes Two to Tumble by Cat Sebastian. And I actually found this because I was reading like one of those like BuzzFeed lists that was like, if you like Bridgerton, check out these. And it wasn't even if you like the Bridgerton novels, it was like if you like the Bridgerton TV show, like check out these books. And this one caught my eye on that list. And then I was in Barnes & Noble picking something up, and this was sitting on a table with like some romance novels. And I was like, don't mind if I do. I think I'll grab that. And it's like super cheap. It's like $5. So, and then my friend Matt, NBC Stitcher, had said he had read this and he really liked it. And I was like, you know, I bought it like a month ago. I think it's time for me to read it. So cute. I really enjoyed this. My only complaint about this book is that it was too short. It was only like 270 pages. Like, that's short. Even for, 269 pages. Even for a historical romance, like they're usually like around 350 pages. So it was short, and that was my only complaint. Like, I wanted more. I wanted more. It was such a cute book. So the premise is that there's a captain, Philip, and he's in like the British Navy. He's away at sea all the time. He has a wife. He has 3 children. He'll come home for like a month or 2, and then he'll sail away, and he won't see them for like 2 years. So he's been away at sea. He is gay, and he's like unabashed about it, which is refreshing, because you do worry, like reading a historical romance, that, you know, you're gonna have to work through like a lot of like shame and, you know, society not accepting all of the things. But he's like pretty unapologetic. He's like, I mean, obviously he's not out. he can't be. But to the character that he does come out to, he's like, it's how I am. And I'm not sorry about it. So anyway, he's away at sea, but he does have a family. But he just really doesn't know them. And then his wife dies, and his children are motherless and fatherless. Like, they don't know him, and he's at sea. So these kids are just running wild, like terrorizing their like quaint English countryside town. So the vicar, and his name is Ben, he gets tasked to like go get these kids under control until their dad comes home. And then the dad comes home, Philip comes home, and then they fall in love, like, basically. But it's just really, it's really well done. Witty banter, like cute back and forth. Really steamy, like steamy love scenes. Like, I was surprised, honestly. Like, they were like, the tension and the buildup like was like excellent. So I thought that was really well done. I really liked it a lot. It was a really fun book, and I'm actually really excited to read more by this author. She has, I think, a whole series based around, I think it's the Eastwicks or the Sedgwicks. Ben Sedgwick. I think the next book is his brother, I think. And then I don't know who's in the 3rd book. But anyway, it's a whole series. So I'm actually excited to check these out. I was looking, my library has like 2 of them. And then the rest I found on Amazon on Kindle for like $2.99 or $1.99, like very, very reasonably priced. These books are not expensive. So if you have any interest in like checking something like this out, and your library doesn't have it, like look on Kindle, like look on Amazon for Kindle books. They're really, really affordable. So really cute. Like I said, my only complaint was it's too short. And honestly, like, what I mean by that is it was too short because I wanted more, because I liked the characters in the story. But also a few parts did feel rushed. Like it was a little bit like of an instant like connection, which I can find, whatever. But like I like a little bit more of a build up, and I felt like we kind of got rushed into things a little bit with this. And maybe like 40 more pages, things could have like flowed a little bit more naturally, and I would have maybe even liked it a little bit more, but I still really, really loved this book a lot. I really like this book. So that is what I read. I have one last thing to talk about book related content, and then I am done. So I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention who watches. If you're still watching me, you have heard me talk about these books before, most likely. So this Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan and Ruthless Gods, the sequel. And then there's a third book that just came out called Blessed Monsters. And I was really excited to get that book and to read it. These books have a lot of Russian Slavic folklore, which I have talked about in this video as being something I very much enjoyed. These books weren't like 5-star, like awesome books for me, but I liked them. Like I actually really, like, they weren't without their faults, but I really enjoyed them, and I was really excited to read the third one and kind of see the conclusion. Wicked Saints was a debut novel, and you could tell. Ruthless Gods, like, her writing really improved. I was really excited to see what she could do with this series. Turns out Emily A. Duncan is a racist piece of shit. So I will not be buying the third book, and I will not be reading it, and I'm getting rid of these two. So the reason I wanted to tell you guys about this is if you have picked up this book on my recommendation, or you were thinking about it, or whatever, like just awareness, like people should know. Problematic authors, that's a whole like video it could be. I am not one to like rush to like cancel people or like refuse to read something because I heard this thing or that thing. I will give people the benefit of the doubt. And like if I hear that an author like said or did something kind of stupid, but like they apologized for it, or they you know say they have learned, like I will give them a chance. Like, for example, Brandon Sanderson. I actually haven't read Brandon Sanderson ever. However, I'm willing to. I plan to eventually read something by Brandon Sanderson. At some point, he was accused of being homophobic. He grew up, I believe, in the Mormon church, and I think some of his early works, like, kind of, I don't know, I haven't read them, but like, I guess some of that influence was in some of his early works. And I don't know, there was all this drama about, you know, Brandon Sanderson is canceled, we won't read him, he's homophobic, this and that. Well, he came out and said, like, I'm not homophobic, I'm sorry. And like, he, you know, like he issued like a genuine statement and vowed to do better. And so like, okay, cool. I will give him a chance. He's not canceled, right? J.K. Rowling canceled. I will never give that woman another dime in my life. I don't care what she writes. I don't care. Like, I don't care if people are like, this is the best book I've ever read in my life. Like, I'm not giving that woman money. Period. period. So like, that's an example of somebody who just does something that's just beyond like redemption for me. And of course, everybody has their own limits and boundaries. If you are unaware, J.K. Rowling, the author of Harry Potter, is a transphobic asshole. She doesn't believe trans people are real people. Like, she doesn't recognize trans identities. She has written transphobic stories. Like, I didn't read I think it was The Casual Vacancy, where like the villain is like a trans person or something. She's so like, she's beyond. And when people were like, hey, this ain't cool, instead of her being like, you're right, maybe I went too far, like, she just doubled down and like wrote a whole essay about like how she's not backing down. So she's a transphobic piece of shit. I will not give her a penny of my money ever again. Most of you probably already know about J.K. Rowling, but if you were unaware. So what did Emily Duncan do? Like, what did she do that I couldn't look past? Well, the first thing I heard was, oh, Emily Duncan kind of bullies like reviewers. And I was like, what does that mean? So I guess like she like would, like, if people would post a review on Goodreads, like she might like repost it and like have something snarky to say or something like that. And I'm like, I don't care. I mean, bullying's not cool. Sorry, she's a jerk. Like, I'm not that worried about it. One of the things she did was, one of the reviews said something about like that her magic system that she built in her books was like a little confusing. And she said something back, like she tweeted something to the effect of like, I'm not going to hold your hand. Like, you get it or you don't. Something like that. So like, I don't think it was like that bad. Like, I don't think she was like being a super jerk about it, but like she's like a little bit pretentious and full of herself. Like, fine, whatever. I don't care. I'll keep reading her books. But then all this stuff started to come out. Apparently there are some really like anti-Semitic themes in these books. I did not pick them up when I was reading. Honestly, like it went right over my head. Like I didn't catch it, but like several Jewish people were like, hey, that ain't cool. And she was just kind of a jerk about it. And then like all this stuff starts coming out that she like people like calmly, politely tried to engage her in conversation about it. Like in person, like people in the book community were like, hey, like, did you know, like, that's kind of like not cool. Like, that's not a cool way to say that or to do that. Like, that could be interpreted as like anti-Semitic. And she was like, yeah, I don't care. Like, just totally blew them off. Okay, like, again, I don't know if I would like never read anything by her, but like that's not really cool. Then she finally admits like, yep, I knew when I wrote it that it might be interpreted that way. I was fully aware. I thought maybe I wrote it well enough that like people wouldn't think that. So like she admitted that she knew what she was doing. Again, you could be like, well, it wasn't intentional. She's not like, you know, anti-Semitic. Like, it just kind of, she inadvertently like did this thing. I don't know. Well, then, I mean, it just keeps going. On the day of like her third book was supposed to come out, Blessed Monsters, which was like, I think like a week or two ago. The day before or the day of, another author tweeted something about, hey, would now be a good time to talk about that one time this author like said something racist about an Asian author, something like that. And people were like, tell us, tell us, tell us. And she finally was like, it's Emily A. Duncan. And basically, like, as the story unfolded, people put the pieces together and found out that several years ago when her book was coming out, she was in an author chat, like on Slack, with a few other authors, and she was basically just trash talking another author and said some like really racist things about this author and her appearance. And all of this comes to light, and it just like all of it combined was just too much for me to overlook. And I know I haven't explained this really well, so I will actually link a video below to somebody who really did the investigative work. So there's a booktuber, her name is Jess Owens. Love this channel. She brings the receipts. Like she explains the whole situation, what happened, and shows you like screenshots of the tweets and everything. I'm not explaining it really well, but basically like Emily A. Duncan just really did some crazy stuff, and it's just too much. It's too much. So I'm getting rid of these books. I'm not reading the third. If you picked up this series on my recommendation, I am sorry, but we got to live and learn, right? Like we don't know these things sometimes, right? Like give yourself some grace, like to be wrong about somebody. Like that's another thing I think people like when let's say I really love these books. Let's say these were like 5-star, like love, love, love. It's hard to hear like that person that wrote these things you really love, like turned out to be a bad person. Like that's hard to hear and accept. And so our natural like instinct is like to get really defensive and be like, no, like that's not how she meant it. And you know, like, and just to like really like not like take that moment to like stop and think and process and like be rational. When the news first broke about this, I did not jump to like a decision. I was talking about this with my friend Andrea because we've been reading these books together, and I was like, I was going out to buy the third book, and I was like, okay, I'm not buying that book just yet. Like I have to think on this. And so I was like, I just kind of hit pause and like gave myself a few days to like think about it and like actually learn about what was going on. And then I was like, okay, I can't. So instead of being like, I don't care what those people are saying, like, I love this book, I'm going to get it anyway. Like I just like kind of took a minute to like kind of process it. And what I decided for myself was that I can't support that person. I can't give them money. I can't promote them. I can't do it. So if you can, like that's, you do you. I'm not telling anybody like they have to cancel this author, but I think it's important when information like this comes to light. Like for me, it's important to like take a stand for myself. Like, I might have lots of other problematic authors on these shelves. Like I don't research every single author of every book I read. I actually almost never do that. So if something comes out, and I'm like, damn, you know, like that sucks to hear. Like I really wanted to read that book, or I did read that book and I really liked it. But it's like, it's okay to change your mind, and it's okay to like, you know, just be open to being wrong about somebody. And it's not even that you were wrong, you just didn't know, right? But now that you know, like, what are you going to do with that information? I didn't mean to make this like a whole discussion. And I'm really truly like thinking aloud right now. So I do apologize if this is like a little rambly and weird, but, it really is like my real-time thoughts, and I'm not necessarily being super eloquent about them. And I'm happy to like talk more about this with people who have thoughts of their own. But I really encourage you to watch the video by Jess Owens if you want to know more about what's going on. And just kind of, you know, what am I trying to say? Like, just be open to changing your mind, right? It's okay. It's okay to change your mind. All right, that's it. This got long and rambly, and now I need to end it. So that is it for this video. And if you are still with me, wow, like, you're the real MVP. All right, I'll see you next time.